Hold on, guys. I know it's really scuffed. I know it's like super scuffed right now. Um. It's broken. It's dead. It is. It is dead. Okay. Give me a second, guys. I just need to see here. You guys can actually see here what my CPU usage and RAM is at. I need to figure that out real quick. Okay, so uh-oh. Uh-oh. Windows Explorer just died on me. Oh no. This is why I'm thinking I need to switch over to a two-computer setup. I'm thinking a two-computer setup will be much more efficient for trying to do this kind of VTubing stuff. At least with a 3D model like I am currently using. Let's see here. Okay, so stuff is starting to relaunch. That's good. We want stuff to relaunch. And we need our music back. But in the meantime, I can show you guys what I was trying to do. Enter pen mode. It is taking forever. Taking forever, guys. To actually work. Tools, virtual cam, stop, see if that helps any. Hopefully it does. I think that actually helped a lot with turning off the virtual cam in OBS. So let's get our music going again. Sorry for the scuff, everyone. But I'm just going to pull up the music real quick, and then we will. I'll show you guys what I've been working on. Okay, so over here, I have Blender running. I'm probably gonna end up having to kill this Blender window, just so we can properly stream. But let's see here, genre. I had it on electronic because I want some synthwavy stuff right now. Instruments, synth, yep, synth, there we go. Vocals, no vocals, exclude vocals. Alright, and go ahead and start playing the music again. There we go. Alright. So again, just let me know, guys, if there's any problems with the music being too loud or whatever. I don't want to restore pages, damn it. I just want to work. Come on. Come on. Okay, cool. Music should be working now. Yep, there we go. And it looks like my tracking's a little bit smoother now too, now that we've killed a bunch of windows. And it'll probably be even smoother once we close Blender here. But I'm kind of working on a new scene in Blender. And right now if I hit render image, it'll pull up the camera view that I have in here. We got some lighting effects and stuff going on. I don't think we're gonna get to using this particular image for what we are gonna be doing today on stream, but this is something that I'm working on, and I'll show you guys how to do Blender stuff at some point also, because Blender has a lot of really cool features. You can do a lot of neat things with it, and you don't really need to make a whole environment. You can just have walls. Each of these different things just in different wall panel that are just kind of dragged into place. And I'm kind of BSing placements and stuff just to make things look how I want them to look. But yeah, let me go ahead and save this. Let me save this Blender real quick. I'm just gonna save this as cyberpunk alley.blend. It's totally in the wrong folder for it, but it's whatever. And we're gonna close out Blender, so that way we have better performance. Yeah, that way we can have better performance. Alright, just give me a moment, guys. Let's go ahead and kill that off as well. Okay, Miyako Cafe. And let's toss this in here. Oh, that was weird. http://twitch.tv/Yukina. I'm not used to typing Yukina yet, guys. So not used to it. But let's go and get this pulled back up. Okay, so I'm gonna pull up Figma again, okay? So here is our basic layout. We also, like I said, we need to add a 2 smaller captions here. So we're gonna add 2 small captions. Those small captions are gonna be like your eye catches, your things that grab people and bring them in. So it's gonna grab a text tool. We're gonna drag one here, and you can just put whatever for it for now. We're gonna go probably blah, and we need to change the font size. So I usually do, I think it's 86, 84 I do, but we could do 96 for that one, okay? Then I'm gonna click back on your text, hit enter, and we'll do blah. We're gonna take blah, however, and we're gonna make that 76. So you're just gonna have to type that in, but I do 76 for the size of it. And we're going to make sure that it is justified to the left side of the left justification. And then I'm going to grab this top part. We're going to change the fill color to like a yellow. So I'm just going to use, it kind of depends too what yellow you end up using. I will change based on the background colors. So for now, I'm just going to use this like kind of brighter yellow, and then we're going to add a stroke to it. I usually want to use black, so I'm going to click down here. It's already black, it just needs to be bigger. I usually stop at about 8, between 6 and 8 pixels for it, just that way it has a little bit of a shadow, a little bit of an outline around it. Gee, you love the background? Thank you, thank you. I actually did the background in Figma. I did this whole thing in Figma, which we're using right now. Okay, let's get this back. And then this is just like a photography backdrop for like photography. So same thing here too. We actually want to add that stroke to everything. I think it actually automatically applies to it all. And we're gonna hit 8 actually. I think 8 will look better. It looks smoky and nice. Yeah, well, what we're actually going to do for this is we're going to color it soon. So we're going to make different colors for that. Just going to drag these up here. Now we're going to make a duplicate of that one, drag it down here, and we want to justify that on the right hand side. So that's going to be like our 2 like main captions to try to like grab people's attention. And then we're going to grab another rectangle. We're going to grab a rectangle, okay, and we're just going to draw out here. I like to use regular aspect ratios, so we'll go like 360 by 480 for example. That's going to be the same aspect ratio of our cover itself actually, which is 3 to 4. So we'll do 360 by 480. I'm gonna grab this corner thing, and I'm just gonna type in 50, okay? So what that's gonna do, that's gonna give us a nice little rounded square here. And we're gonna add a stroke to that as well. We're gonna make that stroke. I specifically use an off-white color. So it's gonna be FFFA, which is like an off-white, kind of supposed to be like snow, but it's like an off-white color. And we're gonna make that 20. And we can either have it on the inside or the outside. I usually just leave it on the inside. And we're gonna end up putting an image here soon. So we'll put some like tabloid style images. You have a thing for rounded corners yourself? Yeah, you know, rounded corners are just amazing. And then what we can also do too is we can, you know, do any tilting we need. But this is gonna be like an insert image. So usually with like magazines, you'll have like various insert images and stuff on top of the main image. But let's go ahead and get our main image here, okay? I think for this one, let's go for... So here, lately I've done fashion. What should we do this time? We'll figure it out. What we're gonna do, we're going to make a pose real quick. We're gonna get our like pose of our character, okay? So I'm gonna open up VRM posing. It's gonna open on screen here in just a moment. Come on. Like I said, guys, I'm getting low on RAM, so it's kind of taking its time for everything to load. Okay. Ow! Don't drop things on me. don't drop things. Come on. We've closed out more than enough programs for you to run. It's just a matter of resolution here now. Okay. So as you can see, it has my model already loaded up, and we're just gonna kind of like zoom in about here. Now the way I do my art and stuff is I use what's called orthographic projection. So like if you notice right now, this has like 3D perspective, okay? And what I like to do is switch the view mode to 2D rendering. So the default mode is 3D. I switch it to 2D, which gives it kind of like a little bit more of an anime feel. And then you can make sure that you are like positioned how you want to be in the center of the screen. And we have actually a bunch of poses already. I think I'm just gonna go with something kind of like generic for this. Maybe kind of like an idolish theme. Let's see what we even have. Okay, we'll see what we have here in terms of various posing. Okay, and then we're gonna end up, yes, poses, yes. And then what we're also gonna do is we're gonna end up adjusting the pose once we kind of like settle on one that we like. We'll probably end up adjusting the pose. I think this can work here actually. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, we're going to go to customize pose, and we're going to make or drag that arm down just a little bit, so that way we can see our beautiful smile right there. And we're also going to drag the arm out this way. Oh, grab down here, bring it out that way, and now it's kind of like we are like teasing, like a little like teasing way of saying like come here or something, you know. And then let's actually drag that up just a little bit more. Kind of drag that a little bit too much there. Grab this elbow. So yeah, what I like to do is I like to find like a base pose, and then after finding the base pose, I will go through here and edit the poses individually. I think right about there is probably a good angle for it. I like to be able to see little things too, like the what's it called, beauty mark that I have here. And we can actually flip this whole thing horizontally. I think that's a little bit better, actually. I actually like this view a lot better. Okay, now we can tell it to look at camera, or we can grab our eyes and drag them by ourselves. So let's just grab these eyes. We'll drag them over a little bit that way and down. And I don't know, I kind of wanted it to show the... That's so cheeky, but I'm... Exactly. You know what? Dad jokes are amazing, okay? I love dad jokes, alright? Dad jokes are just greatness. Okay, so let's go with, like, this kind of pose. I think I'm just gonna hide the hand behind her back, though. And then drag that out just a little bit more. Okay, so her hand is behind her back. That way, it's kind of like out of the way. And then once we've settled on all that, we do need to change the world light because we are kind of trying to simulate photography with this. I like to do 5600 Kelvin. 5600 Kelvin is the color temperature, and the way we're going to get that is roughly the RGB values of 255, 238, 227. I don't think we can get that exactly, but we're going to get as close as we can to 238, 226, or 227, and 255. And then we can also adjust our direction of lighting. Because we are going to be doing like flash photography, actually, it should be in front of us. And so I'm actually just going to turn off the shadow strength, so that way there's no shadow. But the overall lighting should now be matched to daylight. Hit the PNG button. We're going to export this image, and then we'll drag it back into Figma, and we'll come up with some sort of cool like thing that we can use here. I'm just gonna be lazy and throw it into my VTubing folder. That's totally about to get me banned off Twitch. Ignore that folder, Twitch. It was not up for that long. Okay, so now that we have made that image, I can pull up the folder that it's in. I can't show that folder on screen because I have been doing lewd artwork of my model, and I don't want to get banned on Twitch. So I'm just gonna come here, I'm gonna grab it real quick, and I'm just gonna scroll down to where that picture is saved, and drag the picture in. Okay, so it dragged the picture into the background. That's completely fine. That's really what we want. And now that we have our background here, we can position it however we wish to position it. We can even resize it. Because I saved it in 4K, it's not going to really matter what resolution it displays at, because it's 4K resolution. I was going to push up a little bit, and there we go. So I think that's looking good. One moment, guys. Sure, I'll take 2 patties with cheese. Yep. Okay, sorry about that, guys. So now that we have that, we can work on our captioning here and other stuff. Again, we're gonna have like a little insert image that we can place somewhere. We'll find like a good spot for it. I usually like to use this negative space right here though for it. And then obviously our titles, and if we decide we don't want it, we can always toggle it off. Now let's add some color into the background here, okay? We want to use a color that is like complementary to or opposite of our main like colors. So I'm gonna go to a website real quick called color.adobe.com. All right, I'm gonna show you guys this amazing tool from Adobe here real quick. Gonna load up in a moment. How to add colors, we don't really care for that. And then you can tell it to do complementary or split complementary, but that's gonna give you like opposite colors for what you are, like colors that like work well together, essentially. So we can use the split complementary one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab probably, well, let's see what it shows up for like my hair color, for example. All right. So to grab the hair color, I use this tool called Color Contrast Analyzer. I use it professionally in my professional work, and it's basically just a color picker. I'm going to grab a sample of the hair color, that little highlight there, copy and paste that, and then we can pull up this, and then just this one in the middle, paste that value, and it's going to show us that our background, we can use green and blue as our background colors. And that's really what we want to use. I mean, we also have other things like double split complementary or just regular complementary. But yeah, so if we want it to stand out, we're looking at green and blue. And these are pretty good starting values to work with. We're going to grab this brighter green first. And we're going to come up here. We're going to go to ellipse. We're going to draw a big circle here. We want to make sure it kind of like matches in size. We can just do like 1500 by 1500. That should be fine. Alright. We're going to go to fill. And then radial. And we're just going to paste in that color. Okay. Now over here, make sure it's the same color. But it's going to be like 0. Because that's going to be your fall off there. It's just going to do like a fall off. Drag this down into our background here, and I'm gonna hide my person for a moment. And what we're gonna do is you can play around with different modes. I like to use overlay and soft light. Soft light and overlay are usually the two modes I use most often when working with a grayscale image in the background. Unless you want to darken a spot, then you would use like multiply, which darkens things, or like color burn if you wanted to do that. A few other cool ones going to be like difference and exclusion, but as you can see, that's kind of making it blurry, and we don't really want it to be blurred out there. But I'm thinking overlay would be fine. We can then bring this over here into the corner or wherever we want, but this is going to create a light source. This creates like a little hit of light there for us. And let's actually make this bigger. We'll go 2000. Okay, and just kind of drag it up there in the corner. And then let's duplicate that. And we can go like down here, like right about here. Now we're gonna use that other color. Actually, no, this one could be fine. We'll leave it as that greenish color. Just kind of place it right here. Kind of move it a little bit, you know, more converging. So we have these two. These are gonna be our greens. And then let's go ahead and copy number 1 again. We'll paste it, bring it up here into this corner. But this is gonna become our blue. And then, so let's go ahead, let's pull up that color page again. And we're gonna take this brighter blue. I like using these brighter ones. Just copy that value, go back here to radial, and just paste it in right there, hit enter, go back to the other side, same thing, paste it in, hit enter, and that's gonna give a nice little splash of blue. And then we can drag that down here and kind of play around with it. Now, of course, we can always play around with the colors however we need to. I'm going to set this rectangle, so we have this rectangle here, and we can also do different things here. Like we can adjust the if it'll adjust. If you make it more transparent, it'll get brighter, for example. We'll go 100. And like I said, there's all kinds of like different things we can do here with these different modes. Hard light's a pretty cool mode as well. Again, soft light is very useful. Color is a good one also, if you just want to straight up adjust the color. So we can play around with that. If you notice, that actually gives us a little bit better color by using color there. And then maybe we'll do like one more in direct center. We'll see. Okay. So now that we have that, let's go ahead and re-enable ourselves. And like I said, that gives us a good background, a good complementary background that kind of like helps to make our thing stand out, our subject stand out, which is what you want to do. You want to have your subject stand out. And then, like I said, we can start moving our titles around, figuring out our title placement. Maybe we'll just have these down here in this negative space that we have. And if we grab our person as well, we can add some effects to them. So one of the things that we can do is you can add a stroke around our right, no, that's not gonna work. It's not Photoshop. Will it work actually? Blur background, blur, nope. I have to do it a different way. I have to remember that I'm not in Photoshop sometimes. So sometimes the stuff I want to do doesn't quite work. But again, we got this here. This is looking pretty good. Let's come up with a font for our title. So I have tons of fonts here to choose from. And I kind of want to actually play with the idea of using that teal color that we had. That little teal color that we had from here. We're just going to grab that color again. And we're going to make that... it's not bright enough. It needs to actually be brighter in order to like work, I think. So let's just go all the way up here to this far high up color here. Okay, so that's going to be our title color. We're going to add a stroke to it. It's going to be black. And we'll go for about 20 pixels in size. About 20 pixels. Neon? Yeah. Exactly. So now we have this. Let's actually grab letter spacing, kind of space it out a little bit. I think like 15% for our letter spacing. 90s background for the Ren. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of like my aesthetic, you know, is that classic 90s like punk rockish kind of look. And like I said, I have so many fonts here, dozens of fonts. Some of the ones I like is gonna be like slant. Slant I think is good. Well, you know, we're going for like a 90s theme, right? We're going for like a total like 90s theme. So I'm just gonna go through my list of fonts here. But this one here, this 2020 outline, is a pretty good font. You know what? Let's just name this like VRock. 94? We'll go like 94 or something. Or just label it as like VRock or something. I don't know. I didn't really think of a like proper title for it. So we're just kind of winging it. Okay? We're just kind of winging things at this point. But we have, like I said, all kinds of different fonts here we can choose from. Some with like hearts and stuff. Some that are like bubble letters. So many different fonts that I just keep downloading more and more fonts all the time. So we'll go through and find one that we like that kind of fits the aesthetic that we are going for. That first one, that first outline one, I think did pretty good, but not quite what I wanted. It wasn't quite walking enough. Gotta for tonight. Make sure to hydrate. Oh, thank you. I will definitely hydrate. I don't have my hand tracking on, so you guys can't see that, but I'm hydrating. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. Also, VRock is amazing, isn't it? It so is. We totally need to make it a genre of music where it's just rock music produced by VTubers. That's what it needs to be. Oh, here we go. I like this font here, actually. This has, like, really good vibes to it. I like that. But we're not done yet, okay? So, I think I'm actually going to add a subtitle to this to make it a little bit better. So let's add a subtitle underneath it. And it paste the way I wanted it to paste. No, it didn't. Okay, so just copy, paste. We're gonna take this other one, drag it down just a little bit. We're gonna make it about 200 point font instead. A 200 point font. Actually, maybe a little bit smaller than that. We'll go like 180 for it. Bring it over here, and we'll say like weekly or something, you know, something along the lines of like weekly. Kind of position it how we want. Actually gonna probably make that even smaller, just a little bit. Or we can even do something like September issue. And just make it way, way smaller than that. So like, grab this and drag it down. Like that, actually. We'll go with 80. 80. And then we can bring it up here. We're gonna need to drag that stroke down. So we can do, like I said, 8's usually a pretty good one for us to use. So yeah, we got VROC September issue, and then we can come up with some captions here in a moment, as well as like down here. Okay, I'm gonna hide this subtitle for now until we actually come up with a proper subtitle. I also want to find a different font because at the lower sizes, there's some bleeding of this font here with the stroke. So I don't want that. We want to find a better font. And also I think it's usually a good idea to have a separate font for that little subheading as well. So we're going to change that font and also change the color to that snow color that I like, that off-white that I like, okay? So September issue. And we're just gonna go down again and find a font that we like. And honestly, this next one is good enough. We don't really need to do anything super special for it. But our stroke is still a little too much. So let's actually try doing 6. And that looks way better with it being at a value of 6. And it's going to drag it up just slightly, just a slight bit there. There we go. And now we can come up with our subheadings. We can also decide if we want to do an album art thing here, which actually, we can actually do it this way. Let's go ahead and we'll do 480 by 480. We'll make it a square. Okay, we're gonna go to fill, click solid, click on image. That's gonna make it an image background. Click choose image. And let's go ahead here. Again, I gotta remove some of that stuff out of the folder so that way I don't get banned on Twitch. But we're going to grab our punk poster here. There we go. So we have our like album art thing here. Now, what we can do is we can change the cropping of it. That's not what I was trying to do. So yeah, we can change the cropping if it'll let us to resize it. There we go. And just kind of bring it down to whatever size kind of works best to fit in here. It's not really going the way I wanted it to go though. Okay, let's just tell it fit. And then crop. And just kind of bring it up a bit. And mostly, I just don't want it to have like that re-debut text or whatever. Um, but if we can like bring it up that way, kind of try to get it resized in a way that like fits. I know it's gonna have that re-debut text no matter what. Let's go ahead and fix that real quick. So I remember it was on page 2 right here. I'm just going to hide those. So let's just go ahead and grab that, hide that, grab this parental advisory one, hide that. We can hide this little group here. If it'll let me grab that group. Here it is. Go ahead and hide that. We'll export a new image. Also, the music seems to have died. I'm using music from Artlist.io. It's really amazing of a service. It's about $300 a year. Really good service though, and good music from it. Okay, so now I can export this again. Let's go ahead and export this. And you see, we applied the same technique to this background behind here. Just a splash of colors on a black and white background. And that's essentially how we are pulling this off. Is this folder gonna incriminate me? It probably is. Okay, chew. I'll just throw it into the memes folder. There we go. Okay, so let's go back to page 8, this page we're working on. Gonna double click on that, set this to fill, click on choose image. It's gonna pop up, and I'm just gonna go and grab that image. As you guys can see here, it's in my memes folder right here, and it should update. There we go. Yeah, so that's gonna update. And then we can increase this to maybe 5 degrees. Maybe a little bit more than that. Let's try 15 degrees. And we'll just throw it like kind of like right here in the corner. And we'll just say here something like top charts. Yeah, let's go ahead and drag this whole thing up. New album, or actually we can do that. New album drop, and then Jisame new hit album dropped. And then it's gonna make sure that it's the right sizes and all that, you know, make sure it's the way we want it. So it should be white text. And remember, we want to make that smaller, so we can go down to like 64. And then we can drag this out just a little bit and align it. And then there we go. Now we have like that little headline right there, kind of like representing that there. Let's go ahead and actually just make that like that. There we go. That should be fine. Maybe a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit smaller. Should be fine the way it is though. Now over here, we can, usually you want to do some sort of like hook that makes people like want to read. But you don't want it to be necessarily about your front page. Because you gotta also entice them to read other pages in your magazine. So we're gonna come up with a random page number. We'll just go like page dot 3. So we'll go like page dot 3. We're gonna highlight that as well, and we're going to make sure that that is like that. So it's gonna be like that. And I usually actually make that even smaller. So we'll go like maybe not 48, we'll do like 64. And actually for here, let's do 76. 76, there we go. And then just bring it up. And then I sometimes have trouble coming up with headlines. So Let me see if I can find the link that I was using the other day. I was using this really cool thing to basically come up with headlines for it. Okay, so I think this is the one I was using. I think so. Let's go ahead and drag this over so you guys can see. And basically you just type in a keyword and it'll come up with a bunch of like headlines centered around that. We kind of want to make sure that it's relevant to what people are going to be reading. So maybe get rid of that. Maybe we go with like the name of like a guitar or something as our keyword. We can go with the Telecaster, for example, which is a guitar I've been trying to buy for a good while. I currently have Stratocaster, but I want a Tele because Teles are better, in my opinion. And then it just comes down here, and we have tons of different like different headlines that we can use. So this is just through titlegenerator.com. Very like easy to use, and you can go here like, yeah, top 3 ways to buy a used Telecaster or something, you know, or maybe 3 simple tips or something. You want it to be concise. You don't want it to be too long, but as long as you can make it like concise and it's like really something that's gonna like draw people in, that's really all that matters. So yeah, sometimes I'll use like this page here and come up with like different things for it. 14 days to better a Telecaster. Maybe not that. Maybe you can just change it to guitar. Just straight up guitar as the title. And then we can, yeah, like take the stress out of learning guitar or something, or 15 tips for guitar success. Something that's gonna like be a good like grab, a good like way to pull someone in. Since we're being lazy, we'll just go with this one. 15 tips for guitar success. So just copy. We're just going to grab that. We're going to throw it right there. And we can take this main title and just be like, learn music or something. Something that's like, you know, learn music. Here's what you can expect. So we got here 15 tips for guitar success. I could drag it down here. That's going to be on page 3. And we can even put like a little bullet point there, so that way people know, hey, that's page it's going to be on for that particular headline. And then we'll come up with another one. So let's come up with another one now. And we're just going to go through like a few different things, you know. You can, again, you want to keep it related. So, for example, another thing we can do is debate, condenser versus dynamic microphones. Okay, and also again, remember we want this to be bigger, so that's going to be 76 for that one. And then we will go underneath that, if it'll let me, and we go like page 5 or whatever. And then again, just make the page 5 smaller. Sometimes Figma does weird things with text boxes, and you have to kind of like resize the whole thing. And we'll probably end up resizing this whole thing and actually make the entire thing smaller here in a moment, probably. But again, make this smaller. We'll go 64. We'll add a little dot there, so that way people know which page it's going to be on. I'm actually going to take the dot out of this one. So we'll take that dot out. And then we can I'm gonna drag it down here if you want. It's kind of like that. And you kind of want to be able to use like the leading lines of things. That's kind of what I like to use, is the leading lines. So like the leading line of the shoulder here is mainly what I want to try to be using for this. So we might actually make this whole thing a bit smaller, just looking at it, which isn't a problem at all. We can also just bring down our line height, so we can go like 70 for the line height. That's a little too squished. If you look now, that is a little too squished. So maybe we go 75. And that's still a little squished, but it's a little bit better. Let's try 80. We'll try 80 for the line height. And that's a little bit better there. So we got that. And then you can also play around with things like the letter spacing. I think like -5%, depending on the font that you're using, is generally decent. That's part of why we have that stroke there, to kind of get those letters separated a little bit, something visually to like separate them. But again, we're going along that like line, that leading line right there. And we'll make this 6. There we go. So yeah, you want to, if you have leading lines, you want to use your leading lines. Now this is a little too close to the edge, actually. That's actually too close to the edge. So we're just going to bring it just slightly inward, because if you're printing it, then it's going to get cut off, or it can potentially get cut off if it's like right up against the edge. So that's why I like to leave a little bit of space in between it. And again, we want this to be kind of just more of like a title for this art here. I'm going to bring the art down just a little bit and bring this down to like right there. So that way our eyes will naturally move from like one side to the other. And actually, maybe let's make it up here. Let's bring it up here maybe. And we can either center it or whatever else we want to do. I'm just gonna keep it all left justified. But that way our eyes are naturally going to go from left to right because of reading, and they're gonna follow that leading line all the way down, which is again what we want. And we're just gotta play around with it, you know. Maybe we bring the text up here, and then this little image right there, or have the image just like plainly in the negative space, and drag down. So I think that looks kind of good there. And then let's see here. So remember, we have that subtitle. So with the subtitle, we can come up with something kind of catchy or whatever. Usually it's gonna be like a quote. So we can be like, how so you can do like a quote, and something like how the here inspired me, or whatever, you know, something like that. Inspired by and then we'll just like come up with like a band name, you know. So some of the bands that I like still listen to this day are gonna be like Cake, or like Here, I'm Old. The Offspring is another good one. The other day I was listening to like Sum 41 still, so a little old, but I think we'll go with Cake, because Cake seems like something that people wouldn't expect. And then, like, I don't know, it's just, they were a really good band, in my opinion. And then just, like, who is saying the quote. So like in this case, we're the ones saying the quote. So we can go like Chisame Yukina. And the reason why I want to put like the name there is just that way people know it's for this VTuber. This is the VTuber that is being represented here. You know, some sort of thing to like highlight the name of whoever it is that you are trying to highlight. I'm going to drag this whole text box to be much smaller text. I feel like usually with having it be like half the size is good. So like our top here, that's 300. We're gonna do 150 for this one here. And we're going to make this about 130. And then this text down here, this other text, we can actually go even smaller, go like 100. And then I don't like that it converted that into a bullet point, so we're gonna get rid of the bullet point if I can remember how. Here we go. Decoration, list style. I don't want it to be a list at all. Yeah, I don't want that to be a list at all. I just want it to... No, damn it, don't make a list. Give me a second here. I'm just gonna be lazy, change my input. Not everyone is gonna have Japanese input, so not everyone will necessarily be able to do that same exact dash that I just did right there, but that is like one thing that like I sometimes will have to do is that. Let's go ahead and bring this down. We can now bring this down to 84. 84 looks good to me. And bring it down to about there. And then we'll change our text color. FA. We're gonna add that stroke to it. Just a black stroke. And we'll go with like 10. I think 10 is gonna make it nice and readable. Okay. I actually don't like this blue. I've decided I don't really like this blue right here. So I'm not sure what color we're gonna go with, but we're going to get rid of that blue. That blue, I just decided, I don't know. I don't really like that blue. But I do want to have some color in it. That's the challenge. I do want to have some color. I just don't want it to be that color. Maybe we'll go with that golden color or whatever, you know? This like kind of dark color. And then we can do a white outline instead of a black outline or something. Or we can try playing around with green. I'm not really sure what color I want to actually use for that yet. Maybe we'll just use that generic white color that I like to use. Yeah, we'll probably end up going with that. We'll just make it an off-white, so same thing. Okay, so it's an off-white, and the reason why I like to use off-whites is because I want the option of being able to make something brighter than that. So an off-white, it still looks white, but it's not the brightest white that you can get. And therefore, you can push higher and overexpose parts if you really need to. So like down here, for example, we can then make this brighter. And let's go ahead and move that to the outside, right there. We already see we have like different modes here. So we can go either center or outside for it. I think center is fine, so we'll go like center with that. and then that makes it a little bit brighter. And then another thing we can do on top of that is we can go here to effects, put some effects around it, and we can do a drop shadow in the background, but we're gonna make it white instead. That way it's actually really more of a glow effect. So we got like that there. We'll go ahead and just put this to 0, and then so we'll make the blur, or not the blur, the spread 30, and then the blur, just go ahead and like max out the blur on that, so like 90 for the blur, and that's going to be a very, very subtle but present glow around that, which will make it easier for like people's eyes to be dragged over to it. We can go ahead and bring that over to about 50% strength, and yeah, now there's like this little glow right there. Again, it's very subtle but noticeable enough that people will be able to see it, and it'll draw their eyes to that point. Now I do notice though that it is over this text here, which is not what I want it to do. I don't want it over that text. So we're gonna just drag it down, and now our text is over it. So now it's behind the text. Layering is a wonderful, wonderful thing, you know. So we have that there, and then just for, you know, shits and giggles, I'm just gonna grab my group down here. I'm just gonna grab that, copy it. We'll go back over here and just paste that down there. And do I need to add a stroke to it? I think I do. I remember how I did the stroke on that. I think it was actually 2 separate parts. So was it here? Nope, not there. I'm trying to remember the best way for having done that stroke. There we go. And that should be on the outside. We'll go with 6. And then our text, again, we'll just add it. We'll go 6. It'll be on the outside. There we go. So that way we have our little watermark down there, so that way people know where to find me. Except it's no longer Chiyu Shirataki, actually. It's now Chiyu Yukina for my Twitter. So I probably should have remembered that when I made the image the other day, because I totally forgot to change that. Oof. But there you go. So that is start to finish how I do my covers. And there's some other things you can do if you want to overlay like different things in the background. You can. I just gave this like a 1 pixel stroke for the barcode. That just kind of makes it seem more like a sticker that's on there, or like it's actually printed. We can add a noise layer to the whole thing, so that with just some noise on it. One thing I want to check real quick is we want to make sure that our text is accessible. So I'm just going to grab this here, and we're going to sample that yellow, and then just going to find like the brightest part near it. And as you can see, we actually are failing to meet our contrast ratios for accessibility. So we might end up playing around with that a little bit, or maybe we'll just make the background a bit darker right there. That's definitely something we can do. Let's see here, if we synchronize these, if we go brighter, will going brighter work? Is there a brightness that will work for us? No, there is not. Okay. So, of course, you know, the white text with the black background, that's going to be fine. It's the other colors that are not. So what we need to actually do, come back here. We're going to go to our fill. And I think I had an even darker value there. So we have that one. Let's try that one now. So now we're going to, again, we're going to go over here. We're going to sample our colors. So let's sample the yellow. Just grab a sample of that yellow right there. And I think that actually made it even worse. So where we were before was better for the contrast ratio. So we're going to probably end up going back to where we were previously. I think it was that one. Sometimes it can be a bit of a struggle to find a good like value so that you have some color, but that you are being friendly to colorblind individuals such as myself or other visual impairments that people might have. That's kind of why I'm using this tool right now, is because I myself am colorblind, and so I like to make things work. I like to make sure things are going to be readable to anyone who might be reading this text. So now it passes for large text, and I would say that this is large enough that it should be fine, because if you click on it, it tells you at least 18 point or 24 pixels. So this counts as large text, and therefore as long as we're passing the large text, that should be fine. Now we're going to do the same thing up here where it says new album. Grab that, and then grab that same color, and that way it's just uniform, and the aspect or the ratio, contrast ratio, should still be within the accessible range up here as well. So with that, we have our first cover of the night. I would say that's the first one of the night. Or maybe we'll change this name. Maybe we'll go like V Walker or something. I don't really know. Just something to kind of fill up that space, because you don't want to have too much negative space up there. So just kind of something to fill up the space. We'll play around with our letter spacing as well a bit. Maybe we'll go 30% on the letter spacing. That seems like it's just off to me. So we might need to actually choose a different font, which is fine. We got plenty of fonts that we can choose from. So we'll just go through our fonts real quick, find another good one that will work for us, and we can, from there, maybe we'll play around with this a little bit. Maybe instead of 30%, we'll do 15%, and we'll just go through our fonts, see what comes up. Music has stopped, so give me a second here. I don't know why the music stopped, it just did. So let's go ahead and get the music playing again real quick. Come on. Come on. It's dead. It dead. I don't want to load and play for us no more. Okay, we're just gonna go ahead and exit pages. We'll worry about music another time. I guess we don't really need music right now. Okay, so anyways, I guess in some ways my voice is music, I guess. So we'll go through our different fonts, find a font that is going to fit our style. Like, you know what, that right there is actually pretty good too. That actually has too, like, a nice little like retro feel to it, kind of like the Blink-182 logo or something like that, So we got here V Walker. We can try putting a little dash in between it if we want to, and if we're gonna do that, then maybe what we'll do is we'll bring it in just slightly, so we'll do like 10% instead of 15%. That way we're not going over our margins there. And yeah, like that, honestly, that looks good to me. Probably is a few ways to improve it, but I think ultimately that is a good, cover for it. We got all the core elements that we need. we have our calls to, you know, switch over to like page whatever to read what you want to read, um, and so forth. So I think ultimately this is gonna be good, and we can go ahead and hit the export button. Actually, before we do that, speaking of margins, let's move this over just slightly. So I'm just gonna push it to 50 pixels in. Same for this one, just 50 pixels in. That way, it is gonna be like fine right there. You know, fine with the margins. And that way, it's not gonna get cut off if I do print this. I really don't think we're gonna print it, but in the event that we do, then it'll be fine for print. Okay, so now we need to export it. So one thing that I do know is sometimes a problem. Hold on, I'm gonna actually bring this up slightly. I'll go like 12.5%. One thing that I do know is sometimes people don't know how to export from Figma. So the way to export it is, first off, we're gonna just go ahead and close all that up. You're gonna click on this frame here, okay? And you're gonna name the frame to whatever you want. We'll go magazine cover or whatever, you know, it's something that is what you want the file name to save as. And then you're gonna highlight that whole thing. Just make sure that whole thing is highlighted. And then from there, this bottom right corner has the export button. I don't know why it's all the way down here, because like if you come up here, the export button's not here. Well, I guess you go to file and then export as well. But there's an actual menu for exporting, and that is way the hell down here where it says export. I'm gonna click plus, and then you can export it to different resolutions. If you want to, you can do like 1x, 2x, 3x, 4x, or other like resolutions. Just click export. Make sure it's on PNG, not SVG or PDF. And then export magazine cover. And it's going to say exporting down here. You can't really see it because it's blocked by my thing, my overlay. It's going to come up. And should we go into the memes folder. And now we have saved that cover. And we can go ahead and throw it straight onto Twitter. Or anywhere else that we want to do it. Now again, right now, this image is made specifically for Twitter. If you were doing this for, say, Instagram, we'd be using slightly different aspect ratio. For Twitter, it's 3:4 for tall images. For Instagram, it is 4:5. So your image dimensions are a little bit different between the two platforms, depending on what your goal is or what you're posting. But I like this. I think this came out exceptionally good. And yeah, that is my process for how I pose models and how I come up with a magazine cover from start to finish, without duplicating my page. That's the complete process from empty canvas to finished canvas, and the way I like to do my workflow for it. If anyone wants a magazine cover with their VTuber model, let me know. I love doing these, and I'm so down to do them for others. I do ask that if you don't have artwork already, if you trust me enough, if you don't mind giving me a copy of your model, then I can come up to pose myself. Otherwise, I'll hop on like a Discord call and kind of guide you to how I want to pose or whatever. But yeah, this is how we come up with a magazine cover, and sort of, I don't really think this is like the the industry style or the industry method, but it's my method, and it comes off pretty damn good, pretty close to what you would find in like the actual magazine industry. Maybe we'll come here, we'll say like interview page, whatever. I don't know. But I think this is good. I'm going to get some food, so I'm gonna call things early tonight, guys. Um, I will probably not be streaming next week. Next week I have to travel for work. I'll be filming in a city that's like 50 miles away from my house, and I'll be there for like a week and a half filming nonstop. So yeah, but um, I will try to get some streaming in on Thursday. We'll probably do another one of these on Thursday. With that being said, though, I hope you all have a wonderful night. If you like this, hit the like and subscribe button down below, and I will see you all later. Meow. Wait, I can't meow anymore. I'm not a cat girl anymore. I'm an elf. Well, not even an elf. I'm a freaking half demon. Half demons don't meow. Anyways, have a wonderful night, everyone. I will see you later.